Hi, I'm James Yeager, Tactical Response, and I'm glad you're watching today. I'm going to do some firearms myths, some things I found to not be true, and probably most of you have too, but we'll talk about them anyway. I had a request for a different background. This is another, I'm usually teaching from my whiteboard, and so this time I'm teaching at the back of the classroom. You can see I've got some prayer rugs from Afghanistan and a classic Galco poster with a attractive lady on it, and then of course the government issue zombie survival guide, which is necessary for everybody. Let's talk about some things. The first myth that I'll talk about is people say, this is in relation to carbines, that you have to learn how to use your iron sights before you learn how to use a red dot. You can't just start with a red dot. I find this absolutely false, and I'll explain why. If you could imagine teaching a new driver on a stick shift car, he's got to work the clutch and the brake and the stick shift and up hills and taking off up a hill and things like that. It's kind of difficult. If you start that same driver out on an automatic car, automatic transmission, and let him start driving, he or she is going to they won't be nervous for traffic. They've already done that part. They won't worry about the hills and stuff like that. Then integrating the stick shift into it is just a small jump instead of this huge jump with all this sensory overload. That's the same thing with the way I equate the dot sight on a rifle. It reduces a new shooter's anxiety. And let's be honest, if you're not hitting your target effectively and correctly, it kind of brings you down. And so we get them in there shooting with that red dot and get them manipulating the gun, doing all the things, the reloads and all the stuff they need to do. And then later on, we flip the sights up and turn the dot off. And now they just have one new aspect to integrate into the system. Now, every carbine should have sights on it, iron sights on it, but a red dot sight has a lot of advantages, and I'll probably do another video on that. But you don't have to learn how to use iron sights first. It's totally incorrect. I need an extended mag release on my pistol. No, you don't. People say, well, I can't reach it unless I twist the gun in my hand. That's the way it's made, because if you can touch it while you're shooting, it will fall out while you're shooting. I see this happen all the time. Don't do that. Don't get an extended mag release for your gun. People say, well, I need to get a lighter trigger or a 3.5 pound connector or whatever for my gun. No, you don't. You don't need to do that. Especially, and again, all the stuff I talk about is in a martial context as far as defending your life with a firearm. You don't want to go to court with a lighter trigger, but also if you learn proper trigger manipulation, which includes trigger reset, you have a 3.5 pound connector in the gun already. If you just learn how to use it correctly. People keep trying to buy things to make them better shooters. When I first started working out, I was having trouble doing pull-ups. Hell, I still have trouble doing pull-ups. And I asked my friend, Aaron Little, one of our instructors who owns Performance Edge in Lexington, Kentucky, I asked him, how do I get better at pull-ups? And he said, doing pull-ups. And so what I'll tell you is you get better at pressing a trigger by pressing a trigger. And buying stuff is not going to make you better. Another thing is I need to get my gun accurized. Well, typically the more accurate you make a gun, the less reliable you make it, and the more reliable you make it, the less accurate you make it. Again, in a martial context, you don't need your gun accurized. It's accurate enough. Can you do the job when it's time is the question. You need to spend more money on the back end of the trigger than you do the front end of the trigger. Operator error is going to cause the most problems. A big one, my wife or girlfriend isn't smart enough for a semi-automatic pistol. This makes me so angry. I own a little shop, and we have people come in all the time with this crap, and it's just, and women should be absolutely insulted when their husband hands them a revolver. You should be insulted. It is not good. Not a good thing. And they say, well, but my wife, she can't reload, or she can't cock a semi-automatic pistol, so they buy her a 5-shot snubby. You can give her a Glock 19 to hold 16 rounds, and even if she doesn't reload it, she's got 16 rounds. Whereas you give her a snub-nose revolver or a full-size revolver, she's got 5 or 6 rounds. It doesn't make any sense. Now, the fact that you think your wife or girlfriend's not too smart means that you don't pay attention. because she can drive a car, which has a brake and gas and a gear shifter and lights and windshield wipers and a radio and all that stuff. She drives that every day while she's putting on makeup and talking on a cell phone. And she can do all this stuff, but you think she can't run the 2 or 3 functions on a pistol. You are wrong, and you're doing her a disservice. Let the professionals do the instruction. Basically adding stuff to your gun, the grip plugs for the Glock and the slip-on grips and all that stuff. Stop it. Okay, stop it. You don't need that crap. It's just people wanting to do something to their gun. If you want to do something to your gun that's going to make you a better shooter, wear it out. That's the best thing you can do for it. The myth that a 45 ACP will knock a man down. This is absolutely not true. If you know the most moderate amount about physics, Sir Isaac Newton, laws of equal and opposite reaction, any gun that will knock a man down will knock down the man that shoots it. It's very simple. No shoulder fired or hand fired gun has knockdown power. It doesn't exist. Now, stopping power is something wholly different. And basically what we look at in this context are things like, one-shot stop index and, So stopping power is real. Knockdown power is a fantasy. It does not exist. The two things, a 45 will knock a man down. If you shoot somebody with a 45, they'll disappear into a shower of sparks and a cloud of smoke, and not only will it kill them, it'll kill everybody and their entire heritage all the way back to the beginning of time, and blah 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 blah. The opposite myth is 9mm are ineffective, inefficient, and puny fight stopping rounds. I would really like to understand how people get these conclusions. If you look at the facts, the difference between 940 and 45 as far as stopping power goes is negligible. With modern ammunition, it's negligible. With ball ammunition, shoot them in the heart or in the brain and they will leave you alone. I promise you this. I can assure you of this. The fact that 9mm is not effective is just as false as the 45 is always effective. And if you watch my shotgun video, I talk about shotgun slugs and buckshot skipping off the human skull, or guys taking slugs in the chest and not going down. How that 1 ounce 74 caliber slug isn't superior to 45, I will never know, and it won't stop everybody every time. For the right-handed shooter, I'm shooting low left, and man, if you post on the internet for me you're shooting low left, you're going to get all this help. Guys talking about your stance and your grip and your feet. It's all bullshit. It's complete and utter bullshit. Fundamentals, sight picture, side alignment, trigger control, and follow through are what make you hit the target. Your technique, whether it's Weaver or isosceles, where your grip and all that stuff, that is the delivery system of the fundamentals. So if you have proper fundamentals, you're going to hit the target. Now the gun might fall out of your hand because you're not holding it right, but if you have the proper fundamentals, you will hit the target. Or you might have a great technique without good fundamentals, and you might look great. You might have good form and all that stuff, but you're not going to hit anything. And so it's imperative that you understand that technique and fundamentals are separate things, and your grip has nothing to do with where your shots go, or where your finger is on the trigger and all that kind of stuff. It's all nonsense. If you don't believe me, I have a video, a DVD called Shooting Mythology. You should watch. The people get these pistol grip only shotguns, and I mean a shotgun that has no stock on it but has a pistol grip. Those things are terrible. They are terrible to shoot, and I don't know what movies they watch where they think that these things are great, but they are absolutely horrific. They're hard to shoot. You cannot shoot them well. I don't know anybody that can shoot them well, and there's going to be some guy that posts on here going, I can shoot mine great. Bullshit. You cannot. And if you can shoot a pistol grip shotgun well, you're going to shoot way better with one with a stock on it. In general, I don't recommend pistol grips on shotguns, even a pistol grip with a stock. I don't recommend them. Just in general, I find them wholly unuseful. You don't have to aim a shotgun. This theory that the shot comes out and just spreads like this is wrong. It's not true. Cylinder bore shotgun, as I talk about in my shotgun video, cylinder bore shotgun, the shot spreads 1 inch per yard traveled downrange in general. And so that means at 25 yards, you have about a 25 inch or about a 2 foot spread at 25 yards, let alone at 5 yards having a 5 inch spread. It's not true. It's archaic in thought, and it's just silly. Steel cased ammo will hurt my gun, specifically hurt my extractor. This is not true. Speaking about wolf or barn owl or some of the other stuff like that, the steel that the gun is made out of is much harder than the steel the case is made out of. They have to be able to shape that steel and form the neck and all that stuff, and it's very soft. And if you know anything at all about metallurgy, it takes a steel of equal or harder Rockwell hardness to scratch or otherwise damage another steel. So it's not true. I've shot bazillions of rounds of wolf through my pistols and rifles. Nothing wrong with it at all. Putting a light on a gun means they're going to shoot me because I have a light mounted to my gun. Here's what's funny. If we have a gun and the light's mounted right here, it's right in front of our face. Or if we have a flashlight here or cigar technique here, it's right in front of our face. If it's mounted on a rifle, it's right in front of our face. Eyes, target, light, muzzle have to be in alignment. And so it's crazy. Now, what I like is when guys go, "Oh yeah, well the FBI technique where you hold it up." If you knew what the hell you were talking about and you actually looked up some of this stuff and just did a spewing crap that you read on the internet, you would realize that the old FBI firearms training manual, that this technique is for the electric torch. And what I mean by that was when flashlights first came about, what did we use right before them? We used lanterns and torches. And how did you hold a lantern and a torch? Like this, to get the most light out in front of you. That is exactly why they held them that way in those old manuals, because they were, first off, they weren't very good light, but that's what they were dealing with, was that mentality of this is where we hold a light. It was not to keep people from shooting at them. I wish this myth would get dropped. Just totally wrong. Pointing the gun up or down is dangerous. Well, you got to point it somewhere if you're going to work around in the world. And I've heard every excuse for guys saying it's not safe to, oh, you'll shoot a plane, you'll shoot a bird. The concussion come out of the gun could give you a concussion. Absolute, first off, don't press the damn trigger, but absolute nonsense. It's got to be up or down. The situation will dictate the tactics. But here's the deal. If you are in a rubber boat, point the damn thing up. If you're in a helicopter, point the damn thing down. The situation dictates the tactics, and up or down is safe depending on the environment, and you have to point it somewhere to move around in the world we live in. This is not about being on the square range. This is about dealing with life or death situations and having to move around in crowds of people and things like that. 22s or 25s kill more people than anything else. I don't know where this comes from, and I don't know if it's true or not. I don't, but there's no statistical database for this. So on its merits, I have to think that it's somebody just made this up. But we'll pretend it's true. There's a difference between lethality and incapacitation. Lethality means that you're going to die from it, and incapacitation means you stop whatever it was you were doing. So you could be shot with a 22 or a 25 or 9mm or 45 or whatever, and it be a lethal wound. And if we look at the Miami shootout, 1986 Miami FBI shootout, I urge you to look that up and read about it. We see our bad guys, Maddox and Platt Maddox, get shot. One of them gets shot with a 9mm silver tip that nicks his aorta. That's a lethal wound. But while he was bleeding to death, he continued to shoot and injure other FBI agents long after that lethal wound was delivered. So just because a 22s kill more people doesn't mean that you should carry a 22, because you might shoot the bad guy with that 22, and while he is dying, he is beating you to death. Incapacitation is what we're looking for, okay? We're looking for stopping power. Average police sniper shot is 75 yards, according to the FBI. I talked to the FBI about this. They keep no such database. That is a made up thing, doesn't exist, and I don't know why people keep repeating it. AKs never malfunction, and AR-15s always do. These are both absolutely untrue. Well-maintained rifles typically work, and that's that. That's just a. And if you train hard enough with anything, it's going to break eventually. That's just the way it goes. You need more than just the 4 safety rules. All these other rules like the 180 and blah 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 and all this, absolutely silly, and there's no need for them. And making people abide by more than 4 is stupid. And Clint Smith is at Thunder Ranch kind of joked. He said, "Hey, the first one we had was treat all guns as if they're always loaded. We should have just left it there." And I guess I got to agree with Clint on this one. We could leave it right there. It isn't safe to carry a gun like a Glock chambered, and Glock, because it doesn't have a manual safety lever. Glocks have 3 safeties. It doesn't have a manual safety lever. So people pull and rack, and they think they're going to have time to pull the gun out and rack it, and it's just. This is a false sense of security that people that have no idea what fighting is about believe. I'm telling you, if you go to a dojo and MMA gym and with a blue gun and let them just start beating on you and you get that gun out, it ain't gonna happen. I'm telling you, they're gonna stick it up your ass. It is perfectly safe to carry a Glock chambered in a quality holster, and that's what I recommend you do. Carry it chambered. And you don't have time to pull it and rack the slide. No matter what movies you've watched, no matter what daydream of a gunfight you believe, it's just not going to happen. Revolvers never malfunction. This is absolutely not true. There's a reason we went away from the revolver to the 1911 in the military, because the 1911, as built back then, was a very reliable gun. And people, as we get away from revolvers further, we forget all the things that used to happen to them, like primers floating out and locking the gun up, or bullets, especially on Magnum guns, bullets sliding forward and locking the gun up, and timing issues and all that. There was a lot of problems with revolvers, and even like probably the slickest revolver, factory revolver made was like a Colt Python, and those things were very problematic. You couldn't shoot those much. They were very fragile, very slick, but they were very fragile guns. Yes, revolvers did and do malfunction. 223 and 5.56. There is a difference in those 2 rounds, and I don't know enough to get into all of it, but case thicknesses and head stamp case thickness and blah 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 blah. Here's what I'll say: I've never seen an issue where one gun marked at 5.56 wouldn't shoot a 223 or vice versa. I hear people talking online all the time about how it's dangerous, but I've seen bazillions of rounds, and most of my guns are marked 5.56. Most of my AR-15s are marked 5.56, and all I shoot through them is the PMC 223A load, and PMC also has a 5.56 load, but the 223A load is what I started using for training and stuff a while back, and it works fantastic. Could there ever be an issue? I guess there could. I have yet to see it. I have yet to see an actual problem from somebody shooting 5.56 through a 223 or vice versa. Now, what I will tell you is be very cautious about getting reloaded 5.56 or 223 to shoot in your AR-15 from these mom and pop places, because they don't crimp the primer pockets, and those primers will pop out when you shoot the gun. The primer will pop out and fall down into the clockwork, and it'll jam stuff up. We see this very frequently. You only need a high capacity pistol if you miss a lot. That's just simply not true. According to the FBI Uniform Crime Report, police officers have a 52% chance of being attacked by 2 or more assailants. There's really no database for citizens, but we can basically, from the reports that we have seen, you can figure it's going to be multiple assailants. So having more bullets rather than less is good. And you might be one of those guys, well, I got 6 shots, and for 6 of them I got enough. You don't know what you're talking about. It doesn't work that way. Go do a force on force class. Come and take our class, The Fight, and we'll see how that works out for you. You need more bullets rather than less. And nobody has ever been in the middle of a gunfight and go, why did I bring all this ammo? It's not going to happen. Ammunition is good. You should have as much as you can. The myth that you can have one rifle that does everything, and these are the guys that usually wind up to class with some short barrel 308 because they want this CQB long distance gun and it's got 2 scopes on it and all this stuff. Listen, it doesn't work like that. It just simply doesn't work that way. There are battle rifles like the M14 or the FAL or something like that. Then there are the military style assault rifles like AR-15s or AKs, and then there are submachine guns, which is a machine gun or carbine or whatever that fires a pistol caliber round, and never the three shall meet. They are separate things for a reason, and the battle rifles fire a full power cartridge, and they just don't lend themselves well to CQB, just like a AR-15 doesn't lend itself well to 1,000-yard shots. It just doesn't work that way, and trying to make one gun do all those things means that you have a gun that won't do anything well. So I'm sorry, but it doesn't work that way. My mag springs will be destroyed if I leave them loaded. This is not the truth. I just took a Travis Haley class not too long ago, a 5-day class, and I used some AR-15 magazines that had been loaded for 7 years. Yeah, 2005. So they'd been loaded 7 years, and I had 0 problems with them. And this is just not true. Most of the engineers that I speak with say that having springs compressed is not a problem, and having springs expanded is not a problem. It is the expansion and compression that weakens springs. So leaving them compressed is not a problem, and open is not a problem. It's the constant loading and unloading of them. And so I just leave mine loaded, and I leave all my magazines loaded, all of them, all the time. AKs aren't accurate. I beg to differ. They are more than accurate enough within what I believe an assault rifle should be able to do, which is 300, 350 yards. AR-15 and AK are more than capable of easily hitting a man-sized target at these distances. Is the AR-15 a little bit more accurate? Yeah, it is. But is the AK accurate enough? Yes, it is absolutely accurate enough, and it'll do whatever you need it to do in a practical sense in a martial aspect. Another one is that you don't need ear protection for if you're just shooting a 22. This is absolutely incorrect. Hearing damage is cumulative, okay? And your hearing doesn't grow back. When I say cumulative, what I mean is it's a little bit at a time. You get that, it's a little bit more, it's a little bit more, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. And what's funny is I've taken great pains to protect my hearing. The hearing damage I got is from real gunfights, not from training. But I could imagine if I hadn't worn ear protection this whole time training, I'd be absolutely deaf by now. There is no firearm that I would say not to use ear protection with the exception of a suppressed gun shooting subsonic ammo. Then you really don't need it. Other than that, you probably should use it. Brand X is the weapon of choice of criminals, and you insert whatever Barrett, Glock, whatever evil thing is this week. The truth is the weapon of choice for criminals is what you leave in your car unattended. And so don't, if you want to have NRA stickers and AR15.com stickers and all that stuff on your car, that's fine, that's great. Be a proud supporter. Don't leave weapons in them unsecured. Do not do that. You're arming criminals. Another myth is I don't need to take training to be good. I go to the range and I shoot all the time, and I shoot IDPA and this and that and the other, and so I don't need to take training. You're wrong. And here's what happens. This false sense of security comes from watching television. We have the hero that rises to the occasion. You're not going to do that. That's not reality. And then some of you have been told this lie: you will default to your level of training. Absolutely not true. The truth is you will default to the level of training that you've mastered. And if you have not mastered these things under at least a moderate amount of stress, you will not be able to replicate them even under a moderate amount of stress. So going to the range and shooting is not training. The purpose of training is to teach you what and how to practice. You do that under the watchful eye of a competent instructor. Practice is what you go to the range to ingrain the training that you've gotten. And so don't lull yourself into thinking that you're good enough. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be this world-class, weapon master to be able to protect yourself. Absolutely not. But you do have to develop a survival level of proficiency. And that is absolutely critical. And then finally, there's a. You know what? That's enough for now. That's enough. I do appreciate you guys watching. Please share these videos, subscribe, encourage like-minded people to subscribe. We need all the folks that we can get, and all the information, all the good information that they can. And if you have ideas for videos or whatever, let me know. But please don't email me or message me on YouTube. I just simply don't have time to do all that. Join me on Facebook or join us on getoffthex.com or forum, one of those two things. Both of them will be beneficial for you, and let me know through those mediums what you'd like to see and other feedback and stuff like that. I do appreciate you watching. I do appreciate the 9,000 something subscribers I have now. And why I don't have more than Tex Grebner, I don't understand. Do I gotta fucking shoot myself to get more than Tex Grebner? I certainly hope not. But I appreciate everybody. I really do. From the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you for watching. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.